Tuesday, right? What day is it today? It's Monday.
Monday. It's Monday night. We just finished week
We just
5.
finished week 5. Okay, cool. Welcome everyone to the PTW podcast where we just finished week 5 of the NFL Monday Night Football wrap, where the Chiefs easily beat the New Orleans Saints and waltzed their way to 5-0. We'll get to the Chiefs in a little bit, but welcome to our podcast. My name is Zamir, and I'm here as always with Tassi, the football Greek, representing the 49ers, joining me in pain and misery as our teams are both under 500 heading into week 6. But we'll get to all of that in a little bit. If you're new to the show, just want to give you a quick reminder to like and subscribe to the PTW podcast wherever you are watching and or listening. We greatly appreciate your support. 2 episodes a week throughout the NFL season, whether our teams are killing it or they are killing us. One or the
Pretty
two.
much.
All right. But
Heat stroke.
we'll get to the Niners in a little bit, but let's just talk about you in general. What are your overall feelings towards week 5 before we get started with our topics?
My overall feelings, man, I've got a lot of them, but so I mean, I think the 5-0 teams, Chiefs get another win.
Yeah.
It's just like so annoying to watch. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like Mahomes, I just want to I can't stand this guy. Like he's missing all his receivers, and he's like throwing to Juju Smith-Schuster and like Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, the ghost of whatever the decrepit self of or whatever he is at this point. He has like a pretty big game, and what are you gonna do, man? They're winning.
When you are a well-run organization, you are a well-run organization from top to bottom. All right, well, we'll get started. We'll talk about the Chiefs. You know what? Let's start with the Chiefs. We'll do it in a different order because you talked about the Chiefs, and I want to pose this question to you. And for our listeners and our viewers, I have not given Tossie any advance notice of any of these questions, so these are going to be fresh off the dome, if you will, because I have opinions on these as well, all right?
Yeah.
The best 5-0 team right now in the NFL, we have 2 of them. Is it the Chiefs or is it the Vikings? What say you?
It's the Chiefs. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
It's because they have the best quarterback. They have the more experienced team. They have the better coach. They just got a lot going on for them. Obviously, they're defending champs. They did beat the Niners last year in the Super Bowl. No matter how much I want to say they didn't, they did. And honestly, they're the best team right now. I would say because they have the experience. They have the advantage at the most important position, which is quarterback. And, even with all the injuries, they still find a way to make things work. They pick up Kareem Hunt off the street, and he's rushing for 100 yards and a touchdown. They pick up Juju Schuster basically off the street, and he's 100 yards and, 100-plus yards. So,
yeah.
And then, like I said, the ghost of Travis Kelce, just kind of reappears, dig him up, the corpse, he's still around.
He shows up? Oh, yeah.
He shows up.
Rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
I will say, that is a biased opinion. I will say that, to me, I'm more impressed by the Vikings at this point. Only because the Vikings, week in and week out, have shown that they are the most, in my opinion, complete team in the NFL. You can argue with the Chiefs that the refs helped them with certain games and calls, and that kind of helped them go their way. They got very lucky in week 1, winning by a toe against the Ravens. That very easily could have been their first loss of the season, much like last year where they lost against the Lions in week 1. That's not to discount the Chiefs. They are the Super Bowl the reigning champions, and in my opinion, will represent the AFC again in the Super Bowl. That's what I predicted early in the season, or before the season started. But the Vikings have just shown me some grit. And keep in mind, this wasn't the plan. The plan was J.J. McCarthy. So who knows where this team would be if J.J. McCarthy doesn't get hurt in preseason and Sam Darnold doesn't step up the way that he's stepping up.
Yeah.
Who knows where they'd be? Maybe JJ McCarthy throws a pick at a crucial, fourth quarter drive that stalls everything, and the Vikings lose, right? So to
Yeah.
me, given the circumstances, maybe the Vikings are the more impressive 5-0 team. But the question is, who's the best 5-0 team? I would agree with you that it is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the best 5-0 team.
Yeah.
But piggybacking off of that, I do want to get your opinion because the next best team in the NFL, period. Well, there's two of them. It's funny because we have two 5-0 teams, and we have
Yeah.
two. Did Seattle win or lose? They lost,
They
right?
lost. That was
So
a
we got
big
two
loss.
4-1 teams. We've got two 4-1 teams because Seattle would have been 4-1 if they. No, they're 4-1 right now, aren't they?
No, they're 3-2.
They're 3-2.
Yeah.
Seattle's lost the
Yeah.
two games. Okay,
They lost the game to the Giants.
so
So
we've
yeah,
got that's
they
right.
were
So we've got
3-1.
two. We've got two 4-1 teams in the Houston Texans and the Washington Commanders. That is an interesting conundrum as well, right? Because
Yeah.
Houston we kind of expected, Washington we didn't. Chiefs we
Yeah.
kind of expected, Vikings we didn't. You predicted an MVP season for CJ Stroud. You predicted the Houston Texans to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. What's your opinion on them
Well,
right now at 4-1?
well, I mean, it's kind of what I thought it would be. Like they're not doing what I like essentially how they were gonna do it. Like I thought they would be a little bit more dominant in how they were
Mm-hmm.
doing it, and their loss to the Vikings was pretty bad. Like so
Yeah, yeah.
that was pretty crazy. So I don't think they're as big a powerhouse as a 4-1 team would be, but they've got a lot of room to grow here, and they're off to a good start, obviously. But I did think it would be a little bit more dominant from the start, and it seems like there's a little bit more growing pains here with them in the early season. But they're getting the wins, not like the Niners that are blowing losses. Blowing games that are up
Blowing leads.
10
Yeah.
10 points, 10 plus points games in the fourth quarter, and they should be 4-1 too. But they lost to the Rams, and they lose to Arizona the same way. So sorry, I'm
Yeah,
getting off
that's okay.
topic, but
It's coming
it's
up.
like
Don't worry, it's coming up.
it's
We're
how
getting
the Texans managed to win those games, right?
Yeah.
They managed to come back and win against Jacksonville, and they managed to like gut it out last week against the Bills, and they got there, and they end up, at 4-1. So, and honestly, like they're on that trajectory. And by the way, I did predict that the Baltimore Ravens would beat them in the conference championship, and then they would represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Oh, my bad. You did.
So
You did. You predicted
just
Baltimore,
wanted
not
to,
Houston. Yes,
keep
you did.
keep it real. I did say that Houston would be number one in the conference, which is still in play.
Right.
But I thought that Baltimore would represent the AFC.
You're 100%
So
right. Yep.
I think we're on that path, but we'll see what happens. The Chiefs are kind of throwing a wrench in it, and I'm annoyed with them. But you did pick the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl again, but you also picked the Niners. So.
I did. And look, there's a lot of season left to be played.
There is, yeah.
But you're jonesing about it, so let's just get to it. Tossie, I ask you, hardcore Niner fan, and whatever the saying is, bang bang Niner gang. What words that you'll never hear come out of my mouth ever again?
No.
What the hell is up with your team, man? What is up with the 49ers?
So where do we start this rant? I think I'm gonna like ease into it and ramp up. But honestly, the fourth quarter play calling is not good. It's getting
too cute. It's getting too cute, man.
It's getting way too cute. And granted, they lost their kicker in the first half, and that was huge. That turned out they didn't get the field goal that they would have gotten. They had to go for it like on 4th and 25, which I don't understand why they did anyway. They might as well have just tried to kick it, and even with the punter. And that's another thing. Why do you not have an emergency kicker? Because the same thing happened in the Cardinals before the game. Matt Prater got scratched, and they had an emergency kicker, and the dude makes the game-winning kick. Boom. So with their backup kicker, so they didn't have enough they didn't have a good, they never have the plan in place, right? They don't have the game plan in place in the end of games. They don't have the adjustments in place in the end of games. They don't have the right personnel in place. I don't know what's going on because they seem like the Niners are, we think they're a really good, well-run organization that's prepared. But as we can see in the Super Bowl, they didn't know the overtime rules. As we can see at the end of
Right.
games, the
Yeah.
clock management, there's these things that keep coming up. And it's just like, what's going on? Like, why are they not have, why are they not buttoned up more? They should, at this point, they're supposed to be the best team in the NFL, right? Like they were picked to win the Super Bowl by Vegas, like odds wise, they had the best odds.
Right.
And so, how can you have the best odds? How can you go on to basically 3 straight NFC championships and a Super Bowl, and in the last 3 years, and not be buttoned up and ready to go, and not have clock time management and end of game management and play management and personnel management, all these things buttoned up? They should be all buttoned up at this point. The Niners should be winning these games.
100%.
Granted, they lost against the Vikings. That's fair, but
Sure.
they should be 4-1 right now. Like
I agree with that.
there's no excuse for that. They're the better
I agree
team
with
than
that.
the Rams. They're the better team than the Cardinals, and they cannot blow these leads in the fourth quarter. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing at this point.
I agree 100%. And to do it at home,
Yeah.
right? Like you could sit here and point fingers at Brock Purdy all you want for that final drive and where he like kind of Hail Married that pass up in the air, but like you really shouldn't be in that position to begin with.
No.
The Cardinals.
Granted, he got. Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
not
go
a
ahead.
cakewalk. They're not a cakewalk.
No.
They took it to the Bills in week 1. They've been a competent team ever since the season has started. Kyler Murray is proving me wrong week in and week out because I was ready to write him off and be like, this guy doesn't take football seriously, just wants to play video games, whatever. He has shut me up this season. He has shut me up this season, and I think obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. has been a big help, right?
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you know what? Props, like they're showing up. They're not a great team, but they're not the terrible team that I thought they'd be the weakest team in the conference going into this season. And
it's the Rams. It's for sure the Rams.
And right now it's the Rams, but the Rams are injury decimated and all that kind of stuff too as well, right? So that's but division games are tough to begin with. And granted, the hottest day ever at Levi's in Santa Clara. Listen, just for the viewers at home who don't live in Northern California or California in general, today it is October 7th. Today, my car told me it was 105 degrees. Okay?
It's insane.
It's hot.
I was at the game, man, and we were melting. It was the hottest game in the history of the stadium.
Yep.
Hottest game ever recorded, essentially. I think at an NFL game. Was that what happened, or like, am I wrong with that?
I don't know about that, but
it
was the hottest game for sure at kickoff, at least in Levi's history, for sure.
In Niners history.
Yeah.
But like that. That's like an excuse because the Cardinals had to deal with it too.
They played the same game. Yep.
And they had to play the same game. And, they made the plays at the end too. John Connor, man, that dude could not be stopped. He was breaking in arm tackles left and right. Got to give him props. He always comes out and plays stuff against the Niners. He always has good games against the Niners. I don't know what it is, but he always kills them.
He's a bull. Maybe he doesn't like red.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's why they wanted to change to white, so they didn't get the okay from the NFL. And then, the 4th and 5, when they could have stopped Kyler, they do a zero blitz. And, of course, they mess up their coverages and they let Marvin Harrison Jr. get open downfield, give Kyler enough time to throw it downfield. And, look, same thing happened today. The Chiefs did the same thing, but they were tighter coverage. I mean, granted, the guy dropped the ball, Milton. It went through his hands, but it was a much harder catch than the one that Marvin Harrison Jr. had to make. It was, literally right on him. He just had to jump and, catch it. So, that was like an over-the-head Willie's Maze style catch, and the dude, it was through his hands. Granted, that was tough. But this one was a lot easier. Give it to Kyler because obviously he made that throw. But still, you got to – and the game's on the line, man. Make a play. Someone make a play. You're the better team. Someone make a play. J.P. Mason fumbling. I have a little issue with that, too, because I think his forward progress has stopped, and they should have blown the whistle, but they still, let him kind of get tackled. He was already been pushed back and he was going down. So they kind of let the play continue, which I don't agree with. And they end up fumbling when the guy kind of scraped hit him right in the helmet and like kind of face masked him and then hit the ball. So like there's all kinds of things on that play that could have, stopped the play or,
Right.
Could have been a penalty,
Yep.
but they didn't. They let them get the ball back. And then, of course, they come down and they score the game winning field goal. So, it's what it is. What it is.
It is what it is.
2-3.
There's a lot of welcome to my world. It's nice to have you here.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you in the 2-3 club, right? 2 and 3 club.
They got Seattle in Seattle. I think like
it's
now
a short
becomes
week
like
too.
Their short week. They got to play the division game on a short week again with banged up.
Yeah.
So now they got to go to Seattle and do that with these stupid Thursday night games. And now it's like literally this is like a big game for the Niners in their season, because if they win the game, they're tied with Seattle at the top of the division. If they lose, they're 2 games behind them, and Seattle has a tiebreaker. So it's a huge game, and it comes on a shitty Thursday night. Like NFL, annoying.
And I don't know why the NFL has done this, but like it seems like almost every Thursday night game has become a division game.
Yeah.
Just to increase
Except for the
its
Chiefs.
importance.
The Chiefs get their Thursday night game in freaking the first game of the season against the Ravens.
Week 1 is never a division game. Week 1 is opening night is never a division game. Opening night is always the defending champion against some team they played in the playoffs.
They should have played the Niners again.
As a fun little rematch, right? Do the Chiefs play the Niners this week? Do they play the Niners this year?
In 2 weeks. 2 weeks they play them. So
where's that game? Where is it?
It's at Levi's. I'll be there. It's the next game I'm going to be at. I'm going to be putting the hex on Mahomes and Kelsey. I'll be wearing my Taylor.
I want to see a live cam. I want to see a camera live streaming you.
My seats are behind their bench too. I'm going to go behind the bench and I'm just going to talk so much crap. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to like get in their heads.
Oh God, I would pay money to just see you during that game.
I'm gonna go shirtless. Like it's a day game, so I mean it's still that hot, man.
Well, listen, I'm glad you got that off your chest. Let's talk about another team. High expectations into the season. Started off the season hot.
Yeah.
But remember, I said that I wasn't overly impressed with their 3-0 start because the teams that they had played, my team included, were not upper echelon teams. I was waiting to see how they would respond to the upper echelon teams. And 2 weeks in a row, they have been manhandled.
Yep.
Are the Bills better than their 3-2 record? Because I would argue no. I would argue they're not. Listen, if Miami won their game last week, okay, against the terrible Tennessee Titans, and we're not even going to get to that. All right, I'm not even going to humor you with the.
They won, bro.
But listen,
they beat the Patriots.
I'll get there in a second.
All
but
right.
if they win, Patriots lost, just lost, Bills lost, and this week Patriots lost, just lost, Bills lost. The terrible Miami Dolphins would be in a tie for first place with the Buffalo Bills at 3-2. Now, granted, Buffalo would have the tiebreaker because they beat Miami, but still,
Week
Miami
2, baby.
they would have.
It all comes down to it.
So the Bills, I think, have shown in the last 2 weeks that when it comes to playing the good teams, the Houston Texans, and for the life of me, I can't remember who they played last week.
The Texans or the Bills?
No, the Bills.
Yeah, they played Baltimore and they got crushed.
They got crushed by Baltimore and they got crushed by the Texans.
Destroyed.
AFC North kicked their ass. AFC South kicked their ass.
So I'll give it to the Bills. They did make a comeback. They did tie the game, and they had a chance to win the game. They had the ball, but they couldn't put the drive together. And then they gave back the ball to Houston, and they were able to get it done. C.J. Stroud was able to kind of overcome that. Remember, I was talking about Josh Allen being the MVP front runner a couple weeks ago, and then now it seems like Stroud passed him on this game because of how he's playing. But at this point, what do you got to say? It's Mahomes, 5-0, beating the Chiefs without the weapons. Sure. Like I think honestly, it's got to be him because it can't be Lamar. He already beat Lamar head to head. And, Lamar beat Josh Allen. So I would say, like, if I'm ranking the MVP, I'd go Mahomes, Lamar, and then Stroud would be my top 3.
I think you have to consider Lamar. Lamar is killing it.
Yeah,
in
and that, especially after that game
weeks.
against the Bengals. But let's continue here with the Bills. So
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think the Bills are not as good as their record is. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
they're not.
I
They
would
don't have
agree.
the weapons on offense. I mean, granted, they didn't have Shakir for this game, but he's not a number one receiver in the NFL. They don't have anything to help Josh Allen, and I think, and I don't have any insider information on this other
Mm-hmm.
than Kay Adams tweeting about Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Buffalo Bills are going to trade for Devontae Adams, and it's going to happen tomorrow. That
We'll
is my
see.
hot take.
Because
So
he
I
turns it
think,
because Devontae Adams has made it clear he would love to play for the Jets. He'd love to get reunited with
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, or
And
Derek Carr, but Derek Carr just got hurt, so that was his other choice with the Saints. So
yeah, I mean,
tonight he
yeah,
had the
and
oblique injury, so he had to leave the game. So who knows what's up with that? How much time he'll miss? So
I think Devontae Adams wants to play for a team that is on. It's weird because between those three, between the Bills, Jets, and the Saints, I don't think any of them are safe bets at the moment. So I don't know
no,
how comfortable I feel if I were him to go to any of those teams.
yeah, he probably wants to play
But
for the Chiefs.
but if the Jets get a but if the yeah, do you blame them? But if the Jets get a sniff that Buffalo is interested in Devontae Adams, I would assume that they are backing up the truck
Yeah,
to the Raiders and saying like, "What do you want?" Because the last thing
yeah,
they want is their division rival and
yeah,
Josh
taking him,
Allen throwing
getting, yeah,
dimes to him
getting
when they could have had
a
him,
number
right?
one. Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll see. That's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's see if you're right about that or not. Okay. Humor me for 1 second on this one. Just 1 second. I talked about the Dolphins possibly winning a game last week. And if they did, today they'd be 3-2 and tied for first place
yeah.
in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins, true or false, can still make the playoffs. Now hold on.
So
Hear me out. Because I'm going to
okay,
tell you the rest of their schedule.
okay,
Okay?
let's hear it.
Check it out. So they have a bye this week. Okay? So they're
Yeah,
not playing this week. Okay? So they have a bye this week. The next game they have, so they have 2 weeks to plan for a
with
Sunday
Huntley because
with Huntley still.
They've
Yeah,
already said it. They've already
yeah, yeah.
said
No, Tua is still on
Huntley.
IR. He can't
Yeah,
he
two will be on
cannot
IR
come back
still till week
because
8.
it's not 4 weeks, it's 4 games that he has to miss,
Yeah,
right? So the bye week doesn't count. So with
yeah,
Huntley
week 7.
against the Colts in Indianapolis. That's the game, right? Now, Joe Flacco is playing out of his mind.
Yeah,
Okay? But defensively, Indianapolis is not good. Miami's running game kind of got back. Maybe you get Achane back in time for that Colts game. Raheem
yeah,
Mostert was back and balling. Jalen Wright looks really good. So
yeah,
maybe there's a chance they win that game. The following week, they go home and Tua comes back against the Cardinals. The
yeah.
following week, Dolphins
Okay.
Dolphins go to the Bills against the Bills. They'll lose that game. There's no question about that. The following week, to LA against the Rams. The next
Okay.
week, against the Raiders at home, then against the Patriots at home. You mean to tell me that out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, they
4-2.
theoretically could go 4-2?
Yeah, 4-2. So I think they would lose to the Colts in week 7 with Huntley. I mean, Huntley's not good.
Huntley's not good at all.
He's
No,
not
he's
good
not.
at all.
He's
And
not good.
the Colts actually have a decent team.
Dude, Joe
with
Flacco,
or
man.
with Richardson.
Joe Flacco.
So I think honestly, either I know it would be nice to have him for the Miami, right?
Jesus,
Like that's why it pays to have a decent backup. So
I can't
look
tell
at the
you
Vikings,
how much it bothers me.
Flacco, yeah, Flacco's like been the money backup for the last few years. I mean, he did it.
awesome.
He's done it for the last couple of years for a couple of different teams, right? He did it with
Yeah.
Cleveland last year, and then I think even the year before he got some play. I forget who he was playing. I think it was he with Indy at that point, or was it a different team? But he's been playing some good backup, quarterback, and he was awesome last year with Cleveland. So I mean, he led him to the playoffs.
So at the end of that stretch, if Miami goes 4-2, that takes them to 6-5. That takes them to 6-5, and then all they've got left is they've got to go to the Packers for Thanksgiving. Which
6-6.
Yep, 6-6.
All right.
Jets at home. They'll win
Because they can't play in the cold, man. They're going to lose in the cold.
No,
if they have to go to the Green Bay, they're going to lose. And then they're playing the Jets at home.
The Jets at home. I think they'll win that. They got to go to the Texans, lose. Niners come to them. This is
that's tough.
This is interesting,
that's tough, man.
bro.
I mean, that's like
we'll see. We'll see which Niners show up at that time. Then at Browns. Browns are terrible. Browns are terrible.
Okay, they're going to win against the Browns. So they got two. I would give them.
And then at the Jets.
Out of all those games, I'll give them 3 wins after that. So assuming they go 4-2, and then they get the.
So you're saying 9-8.
Yeah, so if they go 4-2 and they get the 3 more wins, I think they'll be 9-8 at the end.
They'll be 9-8.
Because I think they're going to split with the Jets. They're going to lose to the Niners. I mean, the Niners will be buttoned up by that time, and they should be able to beat them.
We'll see.
And then, yeah, I know.
Here I am talking shit after a 15-10 win against the Patriots. Okay,
yeah.
Let's
just destroyed them the week before, and we're like joking around.
Exactly. Exactly.
The Niners are definitely the best 2-3 team in the NFL. I'll put it. I'll say that. Like they're the
best 2-3 team in the NFL. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think. Yeah.
Are you thinking about
they're better
who else
than the
is
Jets?
2-3?
Well, the Jets are 2-3, but they're better than the Jets for sure.
I think the Bengals.
No, the Bengals are not 2-3.
They're 1-4.
The Bengals are 1-4, and that is a fantastic segue, my friend. Because the last question I have for you is: are the Bengals better than their record at 1-4?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was such a game. I mean, that was such a great game against Baltimore. It was just back and forth. The Bengals had it too, man, and then they let Baltimore come back. They were up 10 late, and they let Lamar come back. I mean, big games from Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I mean, that was just a great game. I was at the game watching it on my phone. Like that's how good it was. I was just sitting there watching that game because that game was money. That was like one of the best games of the year so far. So
for sure.
Great win by Baltimore, but obviously putting the Bengals at 1-4, they're way better than 1-4 at this point. I mean, I know they had the stinker week 1, and they lost to the Patriots at home, but they've had some tough losses, like the last few games, and so I definitely think they're better than 1-4. So I'm looking for them to turn it around. They'll be there in the end, trying to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division at this point. They're too far behind. I think that's going to go to Baltimore.
Baltimore for sure is winning the division, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think.
But they've got a pretty favorable schedule coming up, man. They've got
the Bengals do, right?
Yeah, the Bengals do. They're playing the Giants at New York coming up on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Then they go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Then home against the Eagles. Home against the Raiders, at Ravens for the rematch. Then they go to LA on my birthday. Oh, that's cool. They play the Chargers in LA on my birthday. Steelers at home. They go to Dallas, and then they go to Tennessee. Browns at home, Broncos at home, and at Steelers. They theoretically could turn around. I mean, out of all of these, I see maybe 3 that are kind of tough.
Yeah.
But the rest, I mean, that if they could handle the rest, that's a 10-7 season right there.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right. I think they could turn it around. I think they'll probably lose one of those games that we think that they should win, and they'll probably go 9-8. That's going to be my final prediction on the Bengals. 9-8. So they'll be like vying for that last wild card spot.
That'll be them in Miami. Them in Miami at 9-8.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. All right. We did this last week. We had so much fun doing it. We're going to do it again. If you are a subscriber to the PTW podcast, then you likely heard our predictions for week 5 of the NFL. I can't believe week 5 is already done. We are moving into week 6, which is crazy. Already we've had 5 full games, 5 weeks of football.
Crazy. So quick.
Like and subscribe to the PTW podcast as always. And if you enjoy our content, leave a like on this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment letting us know what your thoughts were on week 5 and what you think about these two morons talking football. All right. let's talk about what we got right. We're going to gloat a little bit and say what we
Yeah.
got right from last week. I think halfway through um, week five's morning slate of games, you called me and you're like, so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
we pretty much got all of them, right?
Pretty much. I think we said Baltimore would win
Yep.
their game. We said that Minnesota would win their game.
Yep.
We said that Houston would win their game. I think we did.
We did. We said Chicago would
Yeah.
beat the Panthers.
Chicago. Mm-hmm.
We did say, I think we did pick the Ravens to beat the Bengals, as much of a nail
We
biter
did.
as that was.
We did.
We did pick
Yeah.
the Texans over the Bills.
We did.
And we did predict that the Jacksonville Jaguars would get their first win of the season.
We did. And I think I said that Miami was going to beat New England.
I think you did, and I was the one who was like,
You were
nope,
so angry.
there's no way. And you know what? Miami was just like Baltimore was one toe away from really like competing against the Chiefs. Miami was one heel away from losing against the New England Patriots. That by all accounts maybe should have been a touchdown, but it was a beautiful pass by Jacoby Brissett. And like I saw that play happen, and I was like, "Of course!" Like that, they're just, I'm not surprised. But when they called it back, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah, I know. I was watching that I was watching the Red Zone channel at that point, and I was like, "Oh man, Miami's gonna lose!" And then all of a sudden, it wasn't to be, man. And they called it out of bounds. They called the heel dropped out, and it did. So it was no good. No touchdown.
We predicted the Commanders would destroy the Browns.
Yep,
they did.
Yep, perfect on that one. There you go.
Did we predict?
You want to do a 16 parlay? We just got them all right.
Seriously, we should have. Not the week that we went to Vegas.
I think did we get all the morning games right? I want to say, did we get any of the morning games wrong?
I don't think we did.
Except we were split on the Dolphins because you were just so angry at us.
I
knew they beat the Patriots.
Did they cover? I don't know what the thing was. The spread. I don't know what the spread was.
I mean,
the spread was probably.
It was definitely. I mean, they won by 5.
Maybe. They won by 5.
So yeah, they definitely covered.
And then we predicted the Broncos. I think the Broncos to beat the
Broncos.
Raiders.
Yep. So we did get wrong a couple of games in the afternoon. We predicted the Packers would beat the Rams, which was pretty easy. But Rams almost pulled it out. They had the ball at the end there, and the Packers stopped them. So they could have won. They had the ball down 5. Packers stopped them on 4 downs, and we got the win, which is great for the Niners because division teams losing, and then the New York Giants, huge play, blocked a field goal that was going to tie the game up, run it back for a touchdown.
Yeah,
I mean, we were walking out of the stadium. I was watching it on my phone I'm an addict. I'm watching it, and I'm screaming. I'm like, yeah! And it was like, what are you screaming about? I'm like, listen, the New York Giants just saved our ass, basically. Because they did, because we would be, if they would have won that game, they would have been 2 games back playing them in Seattle. They could have gone 3 games back with pretty much the division is pretty much almost out of reach at that point. So that was a huge play for the Niners, at least, and for the New York Giants, because now the New York Giants have the same record as the 49ers.
Yep. And the other game that we got wrong, because we predicted the Chiefs would beat the Saints. I think there was no question about that. But, Cowboys Steelers we got wrong.
We did. We got the Sunday Nighter wrong, and Dak Prescott, manages to get the 4th down to Jalen Tolbert, who is going to be on the pickup list because with Brandon Cooks out, he's expected to miss some weeks. That guy had a huge game. He's had a ton of targets. He's gonna be one of the Cowboys, like we said, don't have a lot of weapons. And then the other guy on the Cowboys that came out, and like what I was telling about last week, Rico Dowdle, huge game. Over 100 yards. He had 20 plus carries. He had a touchdown receiving. Like the dude's legit. He's the running back. And if you're listening to me from the beginning, you would have picked him up, and you'd have a pretty good, decent running back on a decent team at this point. So something to look forward to on our waiver picks, right? Yeah. So we got a couple of things wrong. We got obviously the Cowboys and Dak coming back and winning the game, but. And then the Seattle game we got wrong. The Niners we got wrong.
Sure.
And the other game that we got wrong was
Well, I picked the Dolphins. You picked the Patriots. That's pretty much it.
Everything
else we nailed.
Yeah, we essentially nailed almost all the games. So 10 game parlay, 10K
Boom.
parlay, and you're a winner right there, man. Like,
Boom.
if you put $10 on that, we probably like 100K right there. Like, I'm doing it next week, bro. We're taking all our picks next week.
Let's
We're
do
gonna
it,
win some
man.
money.
Let's do it, man. We're not
Anyways,
sponsored or anything, but let's do
yeah,
it. Bet
no,
US or
yeah,
something. We'll do it.
yeah.
DraftKings or something.
DraftKings. You want to? Let us know, bro. Let us know.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
on. We're on it.
Yeah.
I
Talk
mean, the
talk about
Niners
a
should have won, bro. Come on.
talk about a amazing last final drive for Dak and the Cowboys
Yeah.
to get that score to go up and beat a pretty game
Pretty.
Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Steelers team
Yeah. Great
that
defense. So
brought it
yeah.
all game. But yeah, man, props to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Props to every team that won this week. If your team won, leave a like on this video. If your team lost, leave a like on this video. Either
Yeah.
way, leave a like on this video and let us know again what your thoughts are on week 5 going into week 6. Are you excited about your team? Are you pumped? Are you confident that your team's gonna knock it out of the park from
Yeah.
Thursday on? Or are you do you have a little bit of trepidation? Are you a little scared? This week,
Yeah.
I am living anxiety free. I'm in my bye week, and I don't have to worry about a damn thing.
Coming off a win.
I don't have to worry about a
good.
damn thing. I feel good.
And I'm going on a short, stupid NFL divisional game.
I could have been 1-4 like the Bengals, the Rams, the Jaguars. But no, I'm 2-3 like the Jets. I'm 2-3 like the Niners. I'm 2-3 like the Saints. You know.
Yeah.
I'm 2-3 like
right?
you know. So you know what? Season is not lost, man. A lot of stuff can happen. I'm not just talking about the Dolphins. I'm talking about every team. A lot can happen between now and week 17, week 18, I should say.
So a lot of weeks left, a lot of game left. I mean, I know if the Niners lose this game, it seems like it's going to be a hill to climb, but I would like them to win this game on Thursday night. So,
well, I think you said it best, man. I think they gotta get. They'll get it buttoned up. And what I said before the season started, I said that the Niners would go to the Super Bowl and they would play against the Chiefs. I still stand by that because, and I said very specifically that I thought that if that rematch were to happen, that the Niners would win because Shanahan would figure it out. Like he would coach the game of his life and he would figure it out. And I think, Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, they're all from the same tree, right? They play call like their stuff doesn't stink, right? And every now and then they got to do some fancy ass 4th and 2. Let's go for it from our own 38-yard line. Why not? And I'll point to the Dolphins again. This week, Mike McDaniel reeled it in. He played safe football. He punted on 4th downs. He ran the damn ball because it was working. And you know what? They got a W. And I'm pretty confident that Kyle Shanahan will do the same. He'll look at the strengths and weaknesses that he has on the team right now, and he'll play to the strengths, and he'll minimize the weaknesses. Listen, division game, just because the Seahawks have played well the first 4 weeks doesn't mean that they're going to rout the Niners or anything like that because it's in Seattle or whatever, right? Look what New York did. Look what the freaking Giants did.
The Giants went into the
Seahawks in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Short week.
So, should study that film. Shanahan.
Seattle has stuff to learn.
Study that film.
Has something to prove, excuse me. The Niners have something to prove. That's going to be a big Thursday night game.
So who do you think's winning?
I'll go with the Niners.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Niners.
Too.
I think the Niners are a meaner team.
Yeah.
And I think they have
needs to come out.
Yeah, something needs to happen because they weren't supposed to lose to the Rams. They weren't supposed to lose to the Cardinals. If they lose to the Seahawks, that's 0-3 in the division.
In the division, yeah. They need it.
They can't do that.
They got to
This is almost a must-win. This is almost
a must-win for them. Yeah. And I think they know it, and they're going to come out firing.
Yeah.
And, I think Purdy with all the scrambling, I know on some of the plays we're like, oh, man, it looks like Steve Young out there. And then the one play that he really screwed us up was, he lost those 9 yards on that huge scramble. He was running all around. At some point, you just got to, if it's not open, just throw
just
it away.
toss it away.
Like just throw it away. I know it's great to like watch it, like, but when the game's on the line at that point, you just got to make the smart play. I was watching Mahomes do that. Like when he didn't have it open, he threw it out of bounds after he scrambled. If he did have it open, he'd scramble and he'd pick up the first down. He did a lot of things that Purdy did, but Mahomes in the end makes that smart play to win the game, and then Purdy, makes the bad play to lose the game. Like, waiting that extra second to throw the ball, letting it get hit. Like that ball should have been out. Like bam, bam. Like because he should have recognized the zero blitz. Knew his hot call was Kittle right there. Kittle was wide open. And Shanahan even said he got to get the ball out sooner. So he waited, held it too long. Did the same thing too on the goal line play to Kittle. Had him wide open. Waited a little bit, made a bad throw, didn't hit him in stride, and he ended up going out of bounds. And they didn't get the touchdown. They ended up getting sending him for a field goal there. And those are the differences in the game. Those are the differences why they lost the game. So, hopefully they button that up. They get a big win in Seattle because it's the biggest game of the season for them. And, they need a win here if they want to win the division.
I would agree.
So
I would agree 100%. Yeah. So I'm going Niners.
And I'm taking the Niners too. Let's go.
Let us know again what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for listening to the PTW podcast, the Play to Win podcast. Again, like and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Like this video if you liked our conversation today. And if you're listening to us on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Spotify or anywhere else you listen to your podcast, we greatly, greatly appreciate your support. Until next time, my name is Amir. This is Tassi the Football Greek. And we will see you all.
Week 6, baby. Let's go, Niners. Wake up.